Welcome to the Free Play Arcade Podcast, being recorded live on the 9th green on top of Free Play Fort Worth, a beautiful Fort Worth downtown skyline behind me. And I'm Chris Delp, the community liaison of Free Play. Before I introduce my partners, I want to say, you like us? Subscribe, buttons, somewhere, buttons, bell icon. I hear that's important. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, all that good stuff. But this is the Free Play Arcade Podcast. I'm Chris Delp. I'm not important. Let's talk to the ones who are. First, this side. Let's go to
Richard Tragilgus.
Nice intro, nice.
That is really.
Yeah.
I love that Pokemon name more than anything else.
Nice.
I don't know.
Tragilgus.
I don't know why.
Did it again.
I don't know why. He is
Still
the
happening.
COO
Woo.
of Free Play. And let's bring in the CEO.
Hey guys, this is Corey. So we're here at Fort Worth, right? And the reason we're recording a podcast at Fort Worth is we are in massive crunch mode, right? We're trying to finish Free Play Fort Worth.
Construction happening right now.
Yeah, so there's people downstairs working. We should all be down there working, but we wanted to step away, go ahead and make sure we're staying current on our podcast, because that would be a whole nother thing to get stressed out about if we got behind on them. So we're close right now. We're getting really, really close toward the end. Now, it's weird to say that because there's so much work that still needs to be done.
I feel you.
and it seems like every day our lists get a little longer, but that's actually a good sign of progress getting toward the end, because the lists are filled with stuff that is super important, but it's not like, hey, we need to get concrete cut to put in plumbing stuff. It's like, hey, we need to seal this little baseboard or something like that.
Now you start thinking about the actual individual logistics of this is how it's actually working. Now that I see it in front of me, now that it's really here.
Well, and yeah, it's like, did that light bulb work yesterday? I'll get it replaced. Like that kind of stuff. We're trying to get to the finish line. As I said in a podcast that I recorded earlier, that maybe no one will ever see, we're targeting that Thanksgiving week. We want to be open by that Thanksgiving week, and I hope it happens. Mm-hmm. It always feels like a huge crunch, and this one's no different. It does feel like we've been here before. It feels like we have more knowledge than ever about finishing an arcade, but it's also terrifying. It doesn't stop being terrifying.
I'd have to say that we've built out a lot of different arcades, and we've come from the empty shell that we had to start from nothing. We've done the renovation project. This one, we've done the almost ready to go,
Denton
just finishing touches.
When I think about it in my head, Denton, I'm like, that was awesome. That was fun.
That was easy.
Right. It was. I mean, all of
Just
our waiting
drop
was
in.
basically permits. We did some very mild construction, some very mild demo.
Well, pulling out that giant refrigeration unit,
Pulled out a refrigeration
about the worst
unit,
of it.
ran some fresh electrical.
And that was when you were like, you know what? I've got it right. Never again will Free Play have a kitchen.
Yeah.
Nice.
Actually, what I learned from that is Free Play should always have a kitchen.
Yes.
I learned more than ever that Free Play should. We kind of knew that, but we had that opportunity to squeeze into Denton. But the kitchen does so much for events.
I agree.
If you want to have a cool event at Free Play, no matter what age you are, if you're a 12-year-old, if you're a 21-year-old, or you're having your 40th birthday party, you want to be able to have cool party platters and be able to feed your guests and have some control over the full experience that you don't have if there's no kitchen.
If there's anything that The Sims 1 taught me, it's that if you have a party and you don't have food, the mind comes, and then everything is just terrible.
Nice.
So Denton was really easy to open. But of course, there were sacrifices. No sacrifices being made here at Fort Worth.
Not at all.
Fort Worth is going to have everything. Super cool kitchen, super cool bar, upstairs rooftop patio, which we're broadcasting from right now.
This is sweet.
Which this is super, super awesome. I can only imagine how cool it's going to be downstairs, doing an epic gaming session, having a ton of fun, experiencing some of these games for the first time ever. We have a ton of new games that have never been on Free Play floors, never been in DFW, at least in the last 30 years. And then coming up here and just being to take a load off, take your mind off things, have a beer from the rooftop patio, and just sit here and enjoy the view, the weather. It's going to be so cool.
It's going to be amazing.
This is going to be glorious. I want my birthday here.
Right. This is
right here.
This is going to be kind of it. This is it's totally different than any other build we've ever done, which is what Richard was saying. And it feels like each arcade that we build is the perfect arcade. They're just all different somehow. It's really, really fun. It's really neat. So Richardson was that classic 80s throwback arcade. It feels like a throwback arcade. Arlington was kind of that big, grander in scope type arcade. It feels
almost
more,
an event venue.
Yeah, it feels like a venue barcade with just more games than any barcade's ever had kind of thing. And of course, I mean, it's still free play, so all the games are real and all that nice stuff. And then Denton was like, I mean, for whatever reason, downtown Miami, and Denton's the coolest.
Well, Denton was our micro play.
Like,
This is crazy. We have an opportunity to get into a cool space, and let's just see what we can do.
Well, and it's ultra polished. Like
the most stylish of all the free plays. Always a trip to go to, because while it is small, man, you feel like you're having a great experience there.
Well, and it still has like 60 plus games, so it's like in previous years that would be a full size monster arcade. It's just things have changed a little bit.
I love going to Denton so much. The people there, the crowd that comes to free play Denton. I love the sheer absurdity of the tap wall. It's amazing.
Well, I really like, because you pull up, like you're in like Denton, and you're in kind of downtown Denton, which is kind of like Old Town America type downtown, and you pull in, and all of a sudden there's this absurd mural, like the coolest mural ever. That's like, a throwback / futuristic mural that just really captures what we were going for with the arcade. Then you walk in, everything is pink. Like the lights are pink. You got pink neons. It's like pink
flamingos.
And then just all reflecting on the stainless steel all over the place. It's super, super cool. So this one, though, we went a little different. So this used to be another kind of venue, right? A small concert hall, I guess is probably the best way to describe it. And it was
that's accurate.
It was quite small. We're talking like 350 people that could fit in the performance hall, with another like 80 or so that they had in their little lobby, and then another 150 or so up here on the rooftop patio. That's kind of like what the city said. So if you think about that, that's really small. 350-ish people watching a concert.
Well, for a concert venue.
Yeah, that's hard to make money, obviously.
Sounds like a fun show, though.
But yeah, I mean, if you got it right, you'd get it right. But what that really should have been, and this is just me Monday morning quarterbacking, because I have nothing I don't really know. But what I think that should have been would have been like every single night, free live music, except for weekends where you have like some pretty serious acts that you're charging real ticket prices for. I don't really know if even that's feasible, but something like that. But of course, this is a brutal business, and it failed. And we came in, and we had, it felt like something that we would turn into a free play. Like that's kind of when I'm visiting locations now. It's not like does it have X? Does it have this? Does it feel like something we could turn into a free play? And this one did. This one had a lot of good and a lot of weird and a lot of cool. So at this stage is long gone. There's no longer a performance stage. There's no longer a green room. We've really opened up that huge performance room, and that's going to be the main game floor here at Free Play Fort Worth.
And it is a beautiful game
it's
floor.
It's really, really cool because the ceilings are so high. I don't even know, what is it, 18 feet?
Have no idea.
I haven't even measured, but they're really, really high ceilings. And any like kind of small part of it that felt kind of condensed when it had that stage went away the second the stage went away. So we rebuilt the whole back room, turned it into a cool tech office. I mean, it's kind of like a dungeon right now. We're working on that.
Hey, we got the lighting in.
There's lighting now, which is good.
Already 2 techs chained to the wall.
Right, we've got them working 24 hours a day. But yeah, so we've got a cool tech room that we had to do all sorts of wall movements and stuff in there. We had to get a new beam installed so we could delete some walls. But it all turned out really great. And then the demo process was pretty painless.
Oh, yeah.
Our contractors here, and I'm happy to report to the entire world, I think our relationship with the contractors went well this time.
Agreed.
We've told stories before about it. In Richardson, we kind of hired a plumber, and then we just tried to use them for everything. And it was fun.
Hey, it worked for our first location.
It was about as ridiculous and absurd as it gets. It's our famous drunk Polish contractor, and he was great. For what he was.
Shout out to Mark.
Yeah, dude, wherever you are, I actually probably want to work with you. Give me a call. But it was totally like, it felt like that first build, right? It felt like, we would just show up. It would be me, you, and Mark, and a concrete saw, and we're like, all right, let's figure out how to install plumbing. Like, that was how it was. And so we went from that to hiring kind of a much higher end contractor for Arlington, and it went terribly. I'm not really here to throw him under the bus, but man, whatever happened there sucked.
Ultimately, it came down to coordination. We hired a large construction company specifically because they assured us that it would be easier to coordinate everything. And what we actually ended up finding out was that they weren't talking to each other about what was going on. I mean, we had walls being put in before the plumbing went inside those walls.
I mean, totally inexcusable stuff. And it went sideways for months. They weren't great. They weren't as good as they should have been.
So did you figure out how long it took to rebuild a wall?
Well, I mean, we had to have a guy come in with like an angle grinder to install some plumbing.
They forgot to put in one of our floor drains.
Yeah, they forgot to cut some of the concrete. Then this was like as a couple weeks away from us being able to open and be like, guys, what the heck is this? Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh yeah, no problem. And then it's never been as good as it should have been if you did it from the start. And there was a lot of stuff just like that. We're still dealing kind of with some problems that were caused. And this is a big contractor, but it didn't work out. No. It just didn't work out. Nothing good happened. That build took forever. But this time, and then Denton was so close that we used a couple, like an electrician, a plumber,
specialty contractors.
Yeah, just for like certain like installs and very minor stuff, but it all worked out.
I just imagine, were there 52 taps there to begin with?
Yes,
absolutely.
That's a bummer because I just in my mind it's just you and a contractor, and you're like having contractors come in the door, and you're like, I want 50 plus taps, and they're like, that's not possible, and you're like, you're fired. Next one.
Nice.
52.
No, so that was why that was such an attractive place, because we definitely improved the beer system when we came in.
Oh, right.
But there was still a lot of good there that we were able to inherit.
Well, right. They had the infrastructure. We had our company come out, and they basically completely refurbished, replaced all of the components that they needed to. We converted everything over to a full fob system for our beer.
That's
foam on beer.
Foam on beer, yeah. Oh. It's like basically try to maximize your kegs by not having them be all foamy.
And it also helps as far as pouring all of your beers. It keeps the head not being excessive.
Right. So a lot of cool...
Talking me into going back to Denton. Now I'm going to go play with Emily tonight in Denton.
Lots of cool kind of modern upgrades to that, but generally it was just a bunch of small-ish projects.
Right.
One thing that we learned, though, is when you have 52 taps and with no tap heads and stuff like that, that stuff adds up, because it's it might be a small-ish cost, but then times 52 it gets crazy. So
line replacements, cleaning equipment, I mean, all of it adds up.
Right,
but it was a lot of fun.
So
we figured it all out.
Well, and we learned a lot about, because we were using smaller kegerator type systems.
Right.
And
this
we learned
was our
a lot
first
about
long draw.
Yeah, learned a lot about line maintenance and stuff. Which now, what's really cool is here at Free Play Fort Worth, we're going to open with 25 taps. We actually have the potential capacity. It looks like at some point the previous operator had like 50 plus taps going, without really the refrigeration to support that.
Right. They had the holes drilled for it. I don't think they could have supported that.
I have looked, and the owner of the original like 2014, 2015 tenant here, that did the main refurbishment. There's an interview with him where he says, yeah, we've got I think they had 70 total taps, because they had them up here. They had 2 bars, remember, downstairs.
Oh, that's fair.
And he had them all going, and he goes on there and he tells some newspaper, it's like, we're changing things up. There's just no way to ever make it with more than 20 taps or something like that. Well, which is a really funny, interesting thing to say.
I can understand that, because from the way that they had the tap system built here originally, they were doing a long draw system that they had teed off of. Right. So every time that I don't know how they cleaned it, to be completely honest, every time that they cleaned it, they lost probably 4 or 5 beers.
Yeah. Each line
from each line.
Right. Each line, which just flushing it.
That's not sustainable.
No. So they had done a lot of changes, so we're going to go with 25. I think that's the right number. I don't think we need 50 plus. I think 25 gives us a great amount of time. Plus, there's something I like about fast rotation, somewhat fast rotation, which it happens kind of fast, but Richardson has 4 taps.
Right.
Richardson, they'll change a beer. You'll be there on Thursday, you'll come back the next day, there's 3 new beers just because of how it works. And a lot of people have said we should give more taps. I actually really love each location, how their tap setup is.
I've got a love-hate relationship with Richardson's tap system, because I really like that we get new beers every time that I'm in there. But also, if I ever go in and I try something and it's fantastic, I come back and I want another beer a week later, and it's long gone.
Free Play Denton's ready to bring you in, though.
Right. That is the nice thing about Free Play Denton. We not only do we have some idea how much beer is left and everything, and they're able to update the signage to flash if it's low, and
So-
it's a lot better if you're just really searching out for a certain beer.
So I have a question about Free Play Fort Worth, where we definitely clean out our taps now. Stylistically, we have the old school arcade of Richardson. We have the Joe Skills arcade of
Pretty much, yeah.
Arlington.
It's
90s graffiti.
It's like 90s graffiti arcade, yeah.
We have the Miami Vice-ish inspired Free Play Denton. Do we have an overarching style that's popped into your head for Free Play Fort Worth yet?
So I have some guide. We haven't really figured it out exactly. But my theory here is when I was reading some of the original design notes for this location, because this is an old Lions Club, isn't that right?
Yeah.
And the person who was going to turn it into like this small concert venue, they really wanted to have like a fine dining, like almost like Art Deco style existence, like really bring back like a theater style performance venue that was focused mainly on live music. So I mean, black and white, like white linens, that kind of stuff that we're not going to do. But I've kind of gone on that kind of deco format, and I kind of feel like, and there's not going to be a ton of stylistic notes in here, but there's going to be a lot of black and white.
Okay.
So like our neon here, instead of orange, which it is in Richardson, there's no neon at
Pink as Denton.
Pink and Denton, and then no neon at Arlington because it's got all the graffiti everywhere. This one's going to have a white neon in a black case. And you might notice we're sitting in black and stainless chairs. We've got black tables behind us. It's kind of like that's going to be kind of it. And I'm not at all, I don't want to like oversell it, but there's almost like a boardwalk feeling I have about this arcade. Like it's like a boardwalk performance deco, like it's everything. But that's kind of like, if we were ever going to have the equivalent of inheriting a fine dining restaurant, that's kind of what I'm trying to go here with the arcade.
You're reminding me, just talking all the black and white talk reminds me of my first console, the Atari 2600, and its black and white color switch, which I did spend some time playing on a black and white TV because I am that old.
Well, and I think just like as a raw style, not only is black and white kind of easy, right? Because it's actually black, white, and kind of stainless at this location.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, we've still got some wood tones in.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of modern-ish. Like it's hard to even describe, but I think it's working. Is ultimately what I'm getting at.
I think it looks beautiful.
I think everything is coming together really well.
I think that you could describe it as a loose Art Deco.
Right.
It's like that's kind of the guiding idea, but the actual form factor is kind of a mesh.
Because we're obviously not
what's
gonna,
practical and
gonna do tons of modifications to install like true pillars that would be like deco style, or there's no like obelisk or anything.
Well, and also with the historical significance of the building,
right.
We're not changing like the exterior light fixtures, like the kinds of accents that you would see a lot of in that Art Deco style. We also have to be true to the original like history of the building.
Well, not only that, it's that's the law. Like,
it's a historical building.
We're generally not allowed to.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. So this is the original like South Side Lions Den for Fort Worth. And,
okay. How far does it date back?
I don't know. There's a plaque down there when they built the building.
I will have to reread that.
Yeah, with a little. I think it was just like the 50s or 60s.
Fair enough.
I think it was late 50s.
Yeah. But yeah, so this
we'll
was
double check.
This whole district then got a historical stamp, and this building got a historical stamp. So it's not like
it's about to get the best arcade ever.
Right.
So.
Well, it's not like a National Register preserved thing, but the city has a ton of rules for what we're allowed to do. So we've had to take it kind of easy. Certainly on the outside, we're not allowed to just like jump right in and have Joe Skills do a mural or anything like that. We couldn't. We'd have to go through a long
you
bureaucratic
see some murals
process.
over there that are.
Yeah. Joe Skills did one of those.
It looks like. Yeah.
So there, it's possible in the area. It's just it depends on which building you're in, and it depends on how long you're willing to kind of work with the city and figure out how to get it done. But yeah, so that's. I think that this arcade already. I can feel its kind of style. I can feel its difference from the other arcades, and I really like where it's headed. And there's a couple things I don't want to ruin yet. There's some surprises downstairs that I think might pull it together even further. That I don't want to say because I want to wait until we actually are ready to open. I want some surprise. We'll do a walkthrough as soon as we're have some paying customers in here, but I want that hype of that night, the first beta test or whatever. People start taking the photos, and it's like, that's there. I can't believe it.
Are you surprised by people's ability to identify all the arcade cabinets by like taking a picture of the leg of the arcade cabinet?
Well, I was actually so what I'm doing right now is I am doing a photo a day of the process as we get there, but they're all going to be kind of obscure photos. But stupid Simpsons Pinball Party has a very, very distinctive side that it's the only pinball that ever had even remotely that side. So I was really upset when I took that photo because the only other thing that you could tell is there's red legs on one of the pinballs, and that narrows it down to about 10 pinballs. But yes, Simpsons Pinball Party will be here at Open. All-time classic, definitely the best of those animated TV show pinballs, because every animated TV show seems like, man, a Futurama pin would have been really cool. I don't think they did that. No.
I'm sure Rick and Morty is coming next year.
Oh, right.
I'm 100% sure.
No, I mean, I actually like Rick and Morty, but it's complicated. But Simpsons.
I know where the ramps will be.
Simpsons Pinball Party. It was actually generally considered like a solid, good pinball. Family Guy, a little lesser, and then what was it? South Park, that was not held in very high esteem.
I only remember South Park from its original.
Partially due to its crass nature.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, the Family Guy's kind of like that too. Like every time I play Family Guy pinball, I'm like, oh, really? We're going that far with it, huh?
Yeah. Well, South Park pinball came from the Kill Kenny era, so
right.
You're killing Kenny all the time.
Like a Sega table.
Yeah, I think you're right.
At the end of the '90s, so I think it might have even predated both Simpsons and Family Guy, which are like Stern releases. So no, I mean. I'm trying to take a bunch of photos that make people understand there's progress being made without giving away anything, and that's hard.
Yeah.
Well, and I also want the photos to be interesting, right?
Right.
Like I can't just take a photo of a black wall and be like, coming soon.
Right.
Free play Fort Worth.
Man, I feel like there's good like skylines.
Right. Well, and we have so many cool surprises, but ultimately it is still more of the same. It is still that $11 at the door, including tax, and to get to play on an all-time great arcade lineup with a ton of unique surprises to come. So I'm really pumped about that. And we're getting close. We still have a lot of work.
I'm excited about meeting the people of Fort Worth. I know some of them because they've been coming to Free Play all along.
Right.
I'm curious to like enhance that and meet more of the people, because this is a dense area. I mean, this is downtown Fort Worth.
Right. Yeah. So this is kind of like that, urban / not downtown. Like it's just outside of downtown. I think every major city has it, where there's just a residential construction everywhere.
Yes.
Generally condo, loft, high-rise type construction. They have an ordinance here, so you don't see any of those super tall buildings like you'll see in Dallas Uptown or the Design District now. But you'll see a ton of mid-rises going in, right? Like 3 or 4 or 5 stories, whatever that's called.
Why the ordinance against high-rises? Is it
just no one blocks the view of beautiful down? I mean, because basically it's like
that's the high-rises.
If you go look at a photo of Dallas Uptown 15 years ago, you could really, I mean, there were great views of Dallas. There were great views of all sorts of stuff. And now it's just tall buildings squeezed together.
Right.
Like, I mean, even when they built the W, right, that was like this cool tall hotel all by itself, and you got these beautiful views. Now it's just a tall building surrounded by other tall buildings.
Right.
And used to that was it, because like driving to the W now, it's like I used to just go to the tall building, and now it's like, God, which one of these huge massive buildings is it? So it's definitely. I think they were trying to avoid that.
Fair enough. Yeah. Me and Matt were even talking about like next time we do the podcast, we need to have it on top of that roof because it has
just
an even better view of the skyline.
There are still plenty of great places, and I mean, as we can tell, even right across the street, I have it on good word that there will be 4 living spaces directly across the street from Free Play Fort Worth in about 6 months' time. So for you super fans out there,
plan ahead. I mean, not only
walk across the street,
and that's something that's a little unique here, right? So,
oh man, it's gonna be cool.
Free Play Fort Worth is Free Play Richardson, suburban shopping center.
I could walk to Free Play Richardson,
attached to an old kind of mall construction type area, but it's the middle of the suburbs,
right?
Which comes with some good things like parking and other stuff. But
and
it also
a terrible parking lot,
right? But it's not trendy. Right. It's not a trendy location. Free Play, I think, is trendy, but that location is not a trendy location.
Well, not at all.
Arlington was a little more, and I feel like it's Arlington will be again once they finish all that horrific construction going on in downtown Arlington.
There's not enough wood to knock. But
Right.
yes.
Very much a development district right now,
Right.
downtown Arlington.
So downtown Arlington, when we got in there, they were just starting construction on something like $1.5 billion of projects in downtown Arlington. That included a ton of new street work, a new library, new office building, and there's a ton of new
shopping centers, new
high-rise
residencies.
Going in. And now a lot of that's in, but the street construction is starting to really just make me not like it as much. So
it'll be great when it's all finished.
But now that said, I did go there this last time for that 25-hour event, and it seems like they are actually finally making progress on it, like doing some finish out work. Like it felt like for more than a year, it has been. There was no end in sight, and I was starting to.
I moved lanes that I have to drive down recently.
If I remember correctly, they've had some drama with their construction crews for Arlington, where one of them didn't get paid, and they actually had to walk off and find an entirely new crew to take over construction.
Yeah, it's been a mess. I think it's all a contractor mess, but Arlington is a big city, and they've been expanding so fast that I think it's just the going with the lowest bid in that situation didn't work out so well.
Now, Fort Worth here, I'm not seeing any road construction. I'm hearing construction, but that's like you said, commercial buildings.
It's already happened here,
Yeah.
right? So Fort Worth, that's really the
I was impressed by the walkability when I got here because I parked at the parking garage right across the street, and then walked over here. It was a nice walk.
Hey, I did the same.
Yeah. There were businesses all over the place. They looked interesting to go into.
So and I'll clean it up really quick. So Freeplay Denton's just off the square, but Denton's like a whole nother world, right? Like Denton, I think
about walkable.
Anything is cool in Denton, and it is just outside of downtown Denton. But it's not like there's any. It's not up and coming. It's just that's Denton.
Right.
You have Denton how it is, and it's been like that for decades.
Yes.
But here in Fort Worth, we're just off Magnolia. This is still an area that is not only super popular as we're coming in, it's growing every week. So this definitely in terms of trendy. This is the trendiest location we've gone to.
It's a completely different play than our other locations as well.
Right.
I mean, moving into suburban Richardson, we knew that we were going to be drawing people to us. Here, I'm really curious to see how many people just pop in on their way to and from other places.
Right. I was here on a Sunday a little bit ago, and I've probably said this before on a podcast, and I started going restaurant to restaurant, and I just couldn't get a table. There was no, and it was that popular and busy and happening. There was an energy about walking around here on the weekend. And so, that does bring us to that parking. I think y'all were here to mention that parking garage. So just to prepare anyone who's living in the area, Free Play Fort Worth shares a small parking lot with Cane Rosso, popular pizza joints, and Brewed, a popular kind of like breakfast coffee beer place. And we have like 20 total spots between those three businesses.
Not very many.
So there's not a lot of parking right next to it. Now, the cool thing about being...
I didn't even consider, because I had heard before, so I didn't even consider parking here. I want to have the experience is going to be typical, so I went to the parking garage directly.
There is a nice, spacious parking garage. Recently finished, within the last, I think, 18 months.
Yeah.
Free.
Just across, it's totally free, and it's just across the street. It's in a super safe, super awesome area, and the walk is downright delightful.
Took me 2 minutes to get from the parking garage, and I parked on the second floor.
So I'm trying to get ahead of it because no matter what, we're gonna have people that complain. Now there's a ton of street parking around. There's all sorts of creative solutions. There are a couple pay lots
there is
too.
a pay lot directly behind our location, and to the extent that any of our regulars are watching this, it's not necessary.
No.
Go to the parking garage. I've been there on a Friday night. I don't know about full on weekends, but on a Friday night, driving up,
Sounds full on
it
weekend
was
to me.
like maybe 60% empty.
Yeah.
So that's Alston parking garage.
Yeah, it's like the Alston garage.
There are pink signs for parking garage, free parking garage everywhere. Look for the pink giant banners pointing you to Alston parking garage.
Yeah,
it's right around there.
It's great. And
once you know the trick, it's not
right.
bad at all.
Well, and I'm going to put it on the website. There's going to be a section on the website that's for, because we have one on Denton for parking, because that was a whole nother kerfuffle. But this one we're going to have, and basically my parking directions are going to be like, there are a lot of parking options right around there. We think that this is the best one, and we're going to have a little map that points to that parking garage. Because it's shared both by businesses during the day because there's a bunch of office space and everything around
There's
here.
a Baylor Medical that's right across.
And yeah, we're in the this is technically also the hospital district. So there's a ton of medical support facilities, ton of office workers that will use that kind of during the day that then fade off. But I've never seen it full.
Oh, nowhere close.
Even as busy as this place could possibly be, I've never seen it full. And it's always been a nice place to park. It's covered except at the very top. There's elevators, there's stairs directly, and it kicks you out directly straight on route to Free Play Fort Worth.
Yep.
Right off of Lipscomb. So
I also kind of like walking through like urban areas that are developed and have like cool businesses that you can walk into. Like that feels like my trip to Boston. That feels like going to New York. That feels like a real, you're in a downtown big city, and we are here in Fort Worth, and that might be part of the defining aspect of Free Play Fort Worth, is that being in this essence of a city.
Well, yeah, I'm super pumped about it because it's it has the option to be the destination, but it also does have the option to be part of just an amazing day out here off of Magnolia in Fort Worth. So progress is moving super fast. If you've been following along in the Free Play community group, you know that 2 days ago we had a truck come that had like all of our major refrigeration that was still yet to be delivered.
Doesn't sound important.
7 pallets worth of refrigerators, coolers, a kegerator, a lot of
Jockey
stuff.
boxes, all of the fun stuff.
All of that. And after the second pallet, their lift gate broke. So we got to see a tow truck come and help push the lift gate back up so that the guy could drive the truck back to the warehouse. And then we talked to them and they said, it'll be there tomorrow. Don't worry about it. We'll switch the trailers. So tomorrow was yesterday, and nothing came.
Right.
We kept calling them. They're like, no, it's on a truck. It's coming. And that starts to get really scary, right? Mm-hmm. Because this is all high lead time stuff. This is there's a refrigerator that came today that was not completely custom manufactured, but it's like total special order, very like for a certain size that we had to get a certain size refrigerator for the spot. And that didn't come until today finally. But I was freaking out just for 2 days, just thinking, oh my gosh, they're going to put it out like in a warehouse. Then it's going to not get on the truck, and it's going to go days and days and days, and I'm going to have to fight with people. Like, I was just like, no, not now. So we've been having all fun construction woes. Everything normal, nothing too crazy.
No.
And let me go ahead and give props to the city of Fort Worth. Great to work with.
Absolutely.
I really enjoyed opening up a business here in Fort Worth, and I thought that they were like, not only were they super fair during all the process, I thought that there was like a really, really great motivation to make sure everything was going right while getting you open, which was cool. So it almost felt like a partnership for a while, which is neat. It's really neat to fill with your city. Props to Fort Worth. That was fun. We have a CO. We have a liquor license. So we have all the the main stuff that could stop us is not in our way right now.
Right.
The main thing right now is just finishing all those fine touches, which there's a lot. And let me be clear here, guys. When we open, we're not going to be done. We'll be done to the point like if you went to Richardson the first night, you know that it's different now. If you went to Arlington the first night, now it was a super great experience, right? It was polished, it was fun, it was amazing. But we're constantly improving. That is what makes Free Play, I think, really, really unique in our industry. We're never done. Mm-hmm. Free Play Arlington this year received something like $30,000 or $40,000 of facilities. Did I say Arlington?
Yeah.
Good. I got it.
Yes.
That's starting to get hard, guys.
No, I know.
Especially with Fort Worth and Arlington both being in Tarrant County, I'll often be like halfway through a conversation and they're like, so which one are you talking about? And it's almost always the other one.
You've just reminded me of some stuff I need to order. So
our own headaches trying to schedule Tuesday night fights. We're currently thinking kind of the east side, west side, because Free Play Dallas is coming next year.
So Free Play Dallas, that's going to be a whole. I'm really, really super excited about it, but that's going to be a whole different style.
Don't think about that one. Don't think about that one.
We got to finish this one. So
we'll worry about that in a few weeks.
Then we'll shift our focus to Free Play Dallas.
But yeah, getting the Tuesdays lined up and going over here and going over there and making sure that we continue to go to Arlington and Denton and
of course,
Fort Worth
last night, I don't know, 9, 10 o'clock, my brain starts turning. And I go to all the community guys and I'm like, I have some ideas to change everything that y'all do. And I send them like 50 Facebook messages that are like, what if we did all of this stuff? Mm-hmm. And so right now in the background while you're watching this, and I'm hoping to do a callback eventually, we're not nothing major change, but we're kind of finding ways to tweak and add to these programs like Tuesday Night Fights.
It seemed like a lot of cool value adds.
As we expand, we want to make sure that we're staying on top of that stuff, and that's hard because Tuesday Night Fight is when we had one location. You just show up every Tuesday, boom.
Right.
At Richardson, there's Tuesday Night Fights. Now we're gonna have 4 arcades. Next year we're gonna have 5 arcades. It's definitely gonna change, and it has to change. And so we're figuring out the best way to still give our customers the best possible fighting game experience for Tuesday Night Fights possible. So I think there's a lot of interesting developments to come in terms of the community stuff, and I really like where we're going with it. In a lot of ways, it feels like and I'm not trying to spoil anything, but it feels like we're growing up as a company, which is definitely super stressful for me because man, it was a lot more fun when I
like being a kid better.
Well, so I just liked when
less to worry about.
Someone in the kitchen calls in sick. I'm like, sweet, I get to work in the kitchen tonight.
Right.
Someone at the bar calls in sick. I'm like, cool, I'm working the bar tonight. Otherwise, I'm like, cool, I just get to hang out. That used to be what life was. And now it's just like, okay, we have 56 employees that have to get health insurance. I'm like, oh my God, it's so expensive. So I'm working on that stuff. But yeah, Free Play Fort Worth, this is going to be incredible. This is going to be an incredible arcade. What's really crazy is we were here yesterday, and this is the difference. And one of the reasons that I started, I said, beginning on this past Monday, it has to be go time. Everything has to just be go, 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 go. And one of the things that changed is I made sure that I'm going to be on site every day. Because just yesterday, I'm on site trying to figure out a problem, and I have a great idea, and it only would have come to me being here. And we worked through it, and we were able to, and you'll see it eventually, hopefully. And I'll have to do seating here and some tables here at Free Play Fort Worth. But it would not have come to me if I wasn't on site. So yeah, it's a lot of fun to be here because it is right in the thick of things. It is as we finish out the arcade, and it's really exciting because our contractors are pretty much done. They've mostly gone home.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have some additional contractors coming in, beer line guy and everything, to tighten it up. But yeah,
CO2 lines. And
fun
stuff.
We've been counting games and stuff. I think we're gonna come close to that 100 number. Maybe more like 90 at open. I don't know. It's gonna be weird.
We'll see, but knowing how we operate, we're going to start with a certain number, and we're going to find ways to push it.
Well, that's what's really crazy. Even Free Play Denton has gained games since we opened Free Play Denton. And Free Play Denton now has this a ton more games and a ton more awesome activities. So
this is actually my first time at Free Play Fort Worth. Today,
right? Yeah.
Now.
Today is the first time you saw it.
I was holding off to the last possible minute because I know these things are fluid. I know they change, and like you said, there are so many things that hit you when you're on site.
Right.
I wanted to wait as long as I possibly could so that I'm not sort of beholden to some thoughts about what games are downstairs right now that might not be downstairs.
Right, yeah.
I remember President Ronnie made an appearance at Free Play Arlington's beta test, right? And there's not that game didn't actually make it all the way. And I understood that was going to be a thing. I understand it's going to be a thing for the games that are down there now, which is why we're not discussing what is downstairs. And there, by the way, it's a full house down there of games downstairs.
Yeah, and we still have 2 truckloads and some 3 truckloads or so.
Minimum.
Right.
Of games to come. But yeah, it's
but I don't want to be beholden to
right.
what's down there. I want when that thing comes in and the power is on and Free Play Fort Worth is lights up, and boy, I want to go in there and think, wow, my eyes are this big, and here's the people from Fort Worth, and let's see how we can all play games together.
Well, and here's a cool surprise that I'm going to regret even mentioning, knock on wood. A lot of our games that we brought out of storage were in better shape than we remembered.
Yeah.
I don't know how it happened, but a lot of them that I was like, all right, we're going to have to do this X, this, just to get it to turn on. I was wrong. Mm-hmm. They generally turn on pretty easily. Generally, my concerns were unfounded. The majority of them actually worked. This might sound like how it should be to the people who are watching, but no. Normally, you get games in. You get plenty of games in that were labeled perfect, working, flawless, greatest example ever that never even make it to the floor because they're dead so hard for whatever reason. The move shook something or broke a leg off of a capacitor that we just can't find in time to get it open, and it's not worth putting the time into the game. That kind of stuff. I do remember at Free Play Arlington. During some of the beta tests, remember we just had lines of games and some that said not coming, not yet, stuff like that.
Yes.
Because we had just so many games that we had brought there. We had duplicates.
We couldn't get them out in time.
Right, yeah. People saw Arm Champs.
Yeah. That's the one that always sticks out of my mind, too.
They were like, I really wish we could put that out. I really wish it would survive. We used that with a lot of games. But I guess I've had to eat my words on some games so far. I mean, I've already promised DDR is coming out before the end of the year, and we never thought we were going to have that. And it's not coming to Free Play Fort Worth if y'all are interested in a spoiler. So think to that over. I don't even know. I might have even said where it's coming, so I don't remember it exactly. But yeah, we're going to try to actually get that out. And rhythm games in general, we were kind of like, I don't think it's ever going to be possible. No, we got a few. It's fun. What I really like about rhythm games, and I know I'm off subject, I don't care. What I really, really like about adding the rhythm games that we've added is it seems like just a few have started to really satisfy the demand. In the back of my head, I was always like, God, we're gonna have to get, if we ever do rhythm games, we're gonna have to get so many because everyone has their own taste and stuff.
Right.
Now, there's definitely the dancing game we don't have yet, DDR. We need to really fully satisfy the rhythm game crowd. DDR is going to be a necessity. I was always against it because DDR players are like, they're very sensitive. They're very they're critical.
Speaking of, I have like $4,000 worth of requests from the rhythm game players from last night. I have to relay to you.
But we've added a few and they've gone really far. And what's really cool is we've added these games, Poppin' Music and Crossbeats, that have been moderately reliable.
Right.
While still getting the abuse. Now, I think Crossbeats is a great game, great design in terms of surviving our type of situation, which is nice. That's really exciting.
Is it the modern control scheme of it's a touchscreen?
Yeah, it's a multi-point touchscreen. I don't remember exactly from the build type, but I think it can handle something like 8 different inputs simultaneously.
Because I feel like a lot of the abuse that we get from machines now, like there's different levels of it, right? There's people banging and saltiness and frustrations or whatever. But we get a lot of like kids who don't understand that it's not a touchscreen. I have seen a kid sit down at Third Strike and try and pick Chun-Li by touching Chun-Li, getting confused and then touching harder.
I've seen it happen on like Defender or Dig Dug. They'd be like trying to like move, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even process what I'm seeing right now.
Crossbeats Revs, you touch
they've been
the
playing
screen
on tablets,
right? Yeah. Well, Crossbeats just has been really good. I mean, in terms of it's a legitimately good game, which is awesome. That the package that we're running on it is probably, definitely one of the more sought after, better packages.
Absolutely.
And it all really has come together. And Poppin' Music, I feel something similar. Poppin' Music is also super silly but fun.
And Poppin' Music has a cult following of people that love that game. I mean, you can buy all sorts of iterations of it. You can play it on home consoles with like a little plastic version.
Right, yeah. They have controllers for it, yeah.
I mean, and those are hard to find these days. You can find them at a lot of the vintage game festivals and different things, but it's been around for a long time and people love it.
So point being, basically, a lot of what I've said, it wasn't going to come, not because it was too lame, but because it would be too hard. We've actually made work.
Difficult to integrate with the music in our environment.
It's true.
And the volume required for certain games. I mean, DDR being the classic example, it has a built-in sub, giant speakers, and that can be very disruptive to the environment.
Yeah, right. Well, and it's been a big concern, and it's still a concern. And DDR, of course, is the first game where I made a post, and I was like, and we're gonna figure out how to rebuild it and make it better than it's ever been. And people were like upset at me.
Yeah.
That's never happened before. We've done it with a lot of classic games. We've done it with pinball. We've done it with all sorts of stuff where we've had to make just like not modifications that change the gameplay at all, just modifications that might increase the length of service.
The reliability.
And I mean, whether it's a fan here or there or a different piece of hardware to mount it better, a switch better.
Tournament organizer in the room would like to thank you again for the button for the test menu on the Versus Cities.
We do stuff.
That is godly.
But yeah, DDR is the first one where people were like, how dare you try to fix this? I was like, oh no. Anyways, we're going to try to fix it. It's in progress right now. I think we've made some progress. I'm going to like hide once we do release it. But rhythm games have come. So
we got it. All your complaints on rhythm games sent to Arthur at freeplayinc.com.
Nice.
Absolutely. We still don't have some of the games that have been requested that we haven't put out, though, that are kind of bad. So that's a whole nother thing. Like I'm not even saying we've never had games that aren't that good at free play, but normally it's some sort of historical significance or something like that, or
they're so bad that they're worth playing.
Well, and like there's a game like Hollywood Heat that we custom for Denton Heat that historically is considered really bad, but I don't really get that criticism.
I
like
having played the table minus the art. I really enjoy playing that table.
Like I can
Denton Heat's a fun game.
I can tell it's not a modern pin, but it's
True.
actually really fun.
Yeah.
And I like it a lot because it's not a modern pin. It feels different.
Yeah.
It's nice. So there have been games like that, but there are games that I still don't know. And I'll just go ahead and say Guitar Hero is one of them. I just don't know. If
the arcade release.
Yeah.
That was after the exchange happened, because it was made by Harmonix. Jerry Holt, one of our community members, actually instrumental in the first Guitar Hero, the
Nice.
console one, right? At the point they moved over to Activision, they put it in the arcade, and
well, and it's a Raw Thrills arcade.
It's when they took the name and then.
And I guess the thing is, like, where DDR has the same music problem. Like, you need to be able to hear your DDR and stuff.
Mhm.
It's a good game.
Right.
DDR is good. Like, natively, naturally, it's a good game. I don't know how I feel so much, and like I say that because I don't want to like anger people. I want to say it because we're thinking about this stuff all the time.
Well, I think one of the real key things is DDR was fantastic in its release in arcades.
Right.
Guitar Hero was absolutely fantastic in its release for the home console.
Right.
But I think that the crossover, because it's something that, I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I played Guitar Hero obsessively when it came out.
Harmonix Guitar Hero, yeah. But then it changed over.
Right.
So
And
Well, and
I haven't really, honestly, I don't know. I haven't spent hardly any time on the arcade version. I know that there are several other games that are similarly released with, the Rock Band style or just the guitar version coming out of like Japan.
Well, yeah,
some of those are really
some of those
interesting
are amazing
right now.
Right.
Some of those are amazing, but those become a much bigger problem in that they're big.
Right. Some of them
some
get
of those
huge.
Japanese linked games, you're talking like you need like your own room just to support
Very much.
the drums, the guitar.
You need your stage.
which I love them. I think it's super cool.
Putting the stage back in,
but,
Corey.
yeah, that would have actually been pretty funny, right? So yeah,
when did we get our train simulator?
see, that's
Whoa.
another thing, right?
Whoa.
There's all sorts of really good
We need an
games
entire
that
building for
just
that.
don't work.
I know.
Well, you know what I was
Remember, you guys sent me to Japan. I saw it.
So I was looking over some games today, and I saw a Naomi release that's Bus Driver.
Nice.
Where you drove a bus. It was Japanese only, I think. But it was just like a Naomi Bus Driver game, and I was like, I mean, I'm not gonna buy it. I'm not gonna like seek it out, but I thought that's really interesting and cool. And you can just play on the same stand-up Naomi that like Crazy Taxi was on. Cool stuff out there. But yeah, those I've had some problems with because we've definitely had retro arcades, barcades, that Guitar Hero is kind of a staple there, and I haven't really known how to deal with that because it is it's where it comes from was a good spot. Like I played it too, and I thought it was fun back on console, and it's still like a good console game. I don't know if they still make it or not, but the original the releases that I played are still fun if I played them today.
Right.
But yeah, that's one that I've been struggling with, and I don't know yet. But it's been a lot of fun putting together this game lineup because
I feel like Guitar Hero and Rock Band also, like, they belong in a certain like time.
I know.
Very much like, some of the games,
that's
some of the Golden Age games or Golden Age games. Like, there was an age where it was Guitar Hero and Rock Band. That was every party you went to from like when the moment it came out to like 5 years later.
Right. Well, I remember doing as a summer intern, as a summer associate at law firms. One of the activities they would have at like law firm mixers would be to go play Rock Band. And I just that's how pervasive it was because these guys were not gamers. Mm-hmm. These were not, these were attorneys. These were litigators.
It was karaoke for every piece of the rock experience.
And everyone loved it because, you could, you didn't have to sing, right? You could have 4 people up on the stage or however many. And
hop on the drums and show us that you have no rhythm.
Right.
That's awesome.
That said, if expansion continues and a decade from now, that might actually make it to like a free play floor just because we're trying to capture that time period, mm-hmm. and somehow the Raw Thrills game might be the answer. I don't know. But definitely we're thinking about this stuff, guys, because I know I've had a few requests for that, and it is something I'm thinking about, but it's kind of we're being careful, and we've always been careful with our floors to really try to do stuff that other people can't do. Like, that's not a hard game to put out either. That's another thing that like it irritates me, because like there are games that we can put out that no one else will.
Mm-hmm.
And there is something to be said, like what we're going to try with DDR, which is to have a volume free play style arcade with DDR and have the DDR be good. That's never been done. So we're going to try that. I don't know. Free Play Fort Worth, though, we are in construction, working our butts off, trying to get it done. We have a lot of work to do today, but this is kind of your view if you come to Free Play Fort Worth. We have a rooftop patio that is bigger than any rooftop patio I'm aware of that's attached to an arcade. So, of course, now someone on YouTube is going to be like, "You stupid idiots! Here's this view of Hong Kong."
But
on a skyrise.
We already have
We're particular. We say the largest rooftop patio on an arcade in Fort Worth.
Yeah, I think that's safe. That seems safe. I have been told that this is one of the largest in just rooftop patios generally in Fort Worth, and definitely has one of the best views. Like, I've had a lot of people come that their only memory of this place is upstairs and the view, and just being like, that was something special. You should try to capture that. I was like, well, yeah, that's we love it. That's one of the reasons we came here.
Just wait till New Year's.
We've got some New Year's parties to get scheduled.
We already have our first Tuesday night fights at Fort Worth on the books.
Oh yeah, so that's
December 11th.
December 11th. You can come and
Super Turbo. We have our ceremonial first match already booked. It's going to be Michael Beltran versus Sean Crane for the ceremonial first low tiger shot. The first of like 10,000 of them that night.
Nice.
Free Play Fort Worth is going to be put in the mix right away as soon as we have it open. So make sure if you like what we're doing, you subscribe, you come to the community group, you join the community group, you follow us on Facebook, you do all this stuff because we're out here, we're doing our best to try to build real awesome, the best arcades ever. So Free Play Fort Worth, maybe about the time you listen to this, maybe a couple weeks after, will be open. freeplayfortworth.com. It's ftworth.com. I think I bought the other one and it'll forward. I'll double check that after we get off this podcast. Facebook.
If not, the rates are going up.
Right. They're running to register right now. I'm going to totally forget about this.
Yes.
But make sure, keep an eye out for the news because the grand opening is coming soon. And can't wait to have you out. Thanks, guys.
See you soon. Come play with us.
Bye.